back to Book the Nerd. My name is Jo Young, and today I'll be doing a smash up review. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to my smash up reviews, where I take several different comics and I put them together for one nice big review. Some of the comics are not done with their stories. I kind of just rate them if I'm going to continue reading them or not. And the ones that are self-contained story, I will give those stars. And my stars are based on a 5-star system, 1 being the least to 5 being the best of how I liked it. Also stay tuned to the end, where I'm going to rank, this time something different from my smash up videos. I'm going to rank the covers from the first to the last, of how I liked them, and also the stories of how I liked them at the very end. But let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start reviewing Birds of Prey, the DC Black Label. Before some of these reviews may have spoilers. I'm going to try to say the writer and penciler's name correctly. If I don't, I apologize right now. The writer is Brian Arizzello, and the penciler is Emanuela. So the story starts with Black Canary getting a call from her old boyfriend. He tells her he wished that they could still be together and he still cared about her. And Black Canary wasn't really pleased getting the call, especially in the middle of the night. In the morning, she goes and meets Trevor and discovers that he was actually killed that night, and she was the last person to talk to him, which really affected her. And she was kind of trying to forget that part of her life, and she kept thinking about how she didn't really care for him, she didn't really like him, but then obviously you could tell that she did have feelings for him as the story continues. The story rotates between Black Canary, Harley Quinn, and the Huntress and Detective Montoya. As they all kind of work together in different parts of the story to discover who killed Black Canary's old boyfriend. What I liked about the story, I really enjoyed Harley's character. I like when they show her side of a psychiatrist and kind of show her intelligence of it, also paralleled with her insanity. As always, kind of makes it a fun read when they go to different sides of Harley's personality. What I didn't care for was how they at the end they really had Harley single-handedly take out all the baddies. When you have all the other heroes there, she just kind of ends up, taking out all the baddies by herself. So I didn't really care for that part. Overall, it wasn't my favorite Birds of Prey. It felt too much like the Birds of Prey movie, and the story did have some interesting parts, and I wish they did more with the baddies. They just seemed like they were kind of just there. They looked really cool, and they were super violent and aggressive. And they have apparently this whole ring of a gang and this thing going on, but you kind of have to put those pieces together. So I kind of wish they developed them a little bit more, did more with them. Like they said, they just seemed kind of there. Overall, I rated 3 stars, 3 out of 5 stars. It was interesting, and if you enjoy the Birds of Prey movie, then you will like this one. Next one I'm going to talk about is Cimmerian Red Nails. The writer is Regis Hatir, and the story was adapted from the original work of Robert T. Howard, and the artists were Olivier Valentine and Didier Cassegrain. Sorry, I totally messed up those names. So the summary is, Conan finds himself in the Darfur region, which is mostly covered by a large forest. He crosses paths with a warrior named Valeria. At first, she accuses him of being hired to hunt her down, and Conan denies it. He reassures that he has nothing to do with Zarello. The two are forced to work together as they become trapped by a large, strange monster. It looks quite familiar to a dinosaur. What I liked about the story, had a lot of action. Monsters, mystery, ancient ruins, magic. I mean, what more can you ask? My favorite part of all was the action, and there was a lot. I like how Valeria and Conan worked together, and how they didn't. There were certain times that Conan would take over and fight, and then you'd have other scenes where it would be Valeria the one doing the fighting. And she wasn't afraid to venture off on her own in the ruins, with her Conan separate at one moment, and she has to take on some baddies all by herself, but she is a true warrior, and it wasn't as scared and was able to handle herself on her own quite well. And then Conan shows up, and of course the mysteries continue. And also I loved the part when you get to see Conan fight a dinosaur. Yeah, a dinosaur, and it was awesome. What I didn't like the tiny font at the very back of this story. They actually, which was cool, is like they did in the last one, The Queen of the Black Coast. They actually include the original work of Robert E. Howard in the back. But the only problem is, this time it is so tiny. And it was really kind of hard to read. So I didn't really like that, but I understand why they did it to kind of save space, so you have more story, which I do appreciate at the same time. And I'll have to go to this, there's this site if you want to actually read the original work by Robert Howard called Gutenberg.org, and I'll have a link down in the comments below if you actually want to check it out, and you can actually read the original work of Robert Howard on that site, which is pretty cool. Overall, this story is so much fun, and I'm loving it. All the action and adventure is just right up my alley. I love it. I can't wait to pick up the second issue and see what happens to Cole and Valeria as they venture deeper into this mystery. The next one to talk about is Catwoman 22. The writer is Paula Sevenberg, and the artist is Aniki? Totally might say that right name wrong, sorry. So the summary of the story is Detective Hadley pretty much baits Catwoman into going after these maids who are stealing artwork, cash, and pretty much anything they get their hands on. Catwoman tracks them down, but her attempt to capture them is foiled by these dust bunnies, which they call themselves. And so then Catwoman it gets personal, and she plans on trying again. And this is also the first appearance of the dust bunnies. What I liked, I enjoyed the art in the book. I thought the artist did a great job of depicting Catwoman and all her moves. They really kind of make her look cat-like, and that was really cool. What I did not care for was the actual dust bunnies themselves. I was hoping for something kind of funny, but they just didn't appeal to me, and I didn't really find it funny. It just wasn't for me. So overall, I really didn't enjoy the story, and I was just kind of sad. I was looking forward to being something funny, and I love Catwoman, but it just didn't appeal to me. It's a single issue story, so that was nice. I was able to read the complete story in one issue, and I did like that, and I really did enjoy the art. The art was really great. I liked how they drew and colored Catwoman. I liked how they made all the scenes. It was really great. I was expecting a funnier story. It just didn't make me laugh. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Catwoman 22, since it's an overall story, I did end up rating this one 2 out of 5 stars. Next one I'm going to do is Joker's 80th anniversary. And this has had a lot of writers and artists that worked on this project. This is full of short stories. There's a total of 10 stories ranging from Punchline's origin story to we get different glimpses inside Joker's psyche. Each story is very different from the next one. And the book also features Joker's iconic covers along with really cool pinups. What I liked about the story is I liked all the stories in the book. It was fun reading a whole bunch of different short stories about the Joker. And it was cool that I believe that they were all brand new stories, which was also pretty fun to read new stories. My favorite story though in the book was probably the one written by Scott Snyder called Scars. That was just very creepy, and I liked how he set up the whole story and how he is able to complete it in very, very few pages. It was really great done. And I really liked Punchline's origin story. Was interesting to find to learn a little bit more about this new character. The writer artists they all do a great job to paint an insane character, and they did a great job. So you get to definitely get to see the insane Punchline and of course the insane Joker. Overall, I really enjoyed reading all the short stories. It was fun to see all the different takes on Joker and to learn more about Punchline's origin. And so this was pretty much a self-contained book, and all the stories pretty much started and end in this book. I did rate this one 4 out of 5 stars. This was a fun read. I really liked it. The next one we talk about is Black Cat 11. Look at that cover. It is just gorgeous. The writer is Jed MacKay. The artist is C.F. Villa. And, of course, the cover artist is Scott Campbell. So pretty much Black Cat is continuing to steal the pieces to build a device called the Randall Gate. Her mentor, the Black Fox, only needs one more item for the machine to work, a special dimensional resonator, which acts as a key to activate Randall's Gate. Their team isn't able to build this, but Tony Stark's tech can. So the story goes on pretty much her mission to pretty much break into Tony Stark's lab and create this dimensional resonator so they can actually activate the Randall Gate. So the story goes back and forth like it did in issues 9 and 10. This one goes back and forth between her and her crew planning out the mission to the present where she's actually performing the heist. I liked how the story flowed between the past and the present like that. It was really kind of fun to read. It really kept my attention. I liked reading how they were planning on doing the heist, and it's kind of some of the humor and how you get to see how she works with her crew, and then you get to see her performing the heist. And I really enjoyed the joke where she has to dress up as a redhead, and that part was funny. It kind of ties, and also ties back to Spider-Man and how she thinks about redheads and her dislike for them. What I didn't care for was I just don't like her bad luck machine. In the story, she had her biotic machine, the quantum probability pulsator, I guess as they call it, conveniently turn off. But then, and it wasn't even mentioned it was off until she runs into a security card. Then they mentioned, oh yeah, this was off. And now she turned it back on to make the guard sneeze and give her an open to knockout. I just thought that was a little too convenient, and I didn't care for that part in the story. Overall, I'm glad I picked this up, and I'm glad I picked up before 9 and 10 because issue 11, in my opinion, was so much better than 9 and 10. I really liked it a lot better. Black Cat's interaction with Tony Stark was way more entertaining than when hers and Wolverine. And I thought Tony Stark's character had a bigger part to play in this one, and he will, I'm guessing they're going to have a battle in 12 at how this one ends. And so I'm really looking forward to picking up 12 and see what happens next. Okay, so now we come to the part where I'm going to rank them. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to rank the storyline, and I'll start with my least favorite to my favorite of the storyline. So we have 5 total. So the 5th one, my least favorite storyline in this special review was Catwoman 22. I just didn't care for it. It wasn't my cup of tea. I thought the explanations could have been a little bit more funnier since that's how they were kind of presented. Number 4 was Birds of Prey of Black Label. I didn't care for all the way. It was okay. It was an interesting story. But overall, I think it was kind of forgettable. It was too much like the movie, and I don't think I'll remember it. Next one, number 3, would be Black Cat number 11. I do like that story. I like how they jump between the past and the present, and I am definitely going to pick up number 12 to see what happens with her and Tony Stark. It was a fun read. And then number 2 was Joker's 80th anniversary. I loved all the short stories. I liked reading about Parkinson's origin, and I loved all the different psyches, getting into Joker's psyche and how just insane this character is, and the different stories, how they paint different parts of him, and it just feels really interesting. And I really like that. All the short stories in that book. My number 1 would have to be the Red Nails. I love that story. It has all my favorite. I love the action and fantasy and sword fighting and magic. All that stuff combined together just was great, and I loved it. I like how they take the Robbie Howard story and they adapt it to the comic. They do an awesome job at that, and I am looking forward to the 2nd issue. So that was my favorite story of the Smash Up review. So now for the covers, which is going to be a little different. So I'll start with number 5 and work my way up again. So the 5th one was Birds of Prey Black Label's cover. I thought it was really interesting. I mean, I did pick it up because of the cover caught my attention, but according to details compared to some other covers, I don't think it was there. Catwoman 22 would be number 4. I liked all the details in Catwoman's face and how they drew her and stuff. It was really interesting. The background was really cool. Number 3 would be Joker's 80th anniversary. I liked that cover. That's the one I picked out. I like how Joker just looks maniacal, and with his sledgehammer back there, it just definitely has that Joker feel to it. The 2nd one would be the Red Nails. That was such a neat cover with a dinosaur on it, and Conan and Valeria. It was such a cool cover, and it definitely really encompasses what the story is about. And it's cool you actually have one of the baddies that's actually in the book on the cover, which is cool too. And number 1, of course, is Scott Campbell's Black Cat cover. It's just gorgeous. I just love the detail on here and how he draws Black Cat. It's just classic. I just love it. So that's my top ranking. How would you rank the stories or the covers? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!